Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. Sorry I'm a couple of minutes late. Tech was all setting up and getting connected and all that, but welcome regardless. Right. Care Oswin. So we have, as the thumbnail indicates, once again, as has been the case for some time, yet more side quests. Because we always have more side quests. How can you not have? Where did my throne go? Hmm. That's troubling. That's troubling. Oh, right, I have a bunch of stuff. Great deal of stuff. This is a really cool thing. I wanted to give it to Iron Bull because it's a great axe. That's kind of his deal. I forgot to sell off some of my stuff. That's okay. I can do that gradually. I can do that gradually as we go. In any case, actually, you know what? I'll just get that out of the way now while I introduce some things. So we are, as you know, as you've mentioned, as you've seen, presumably Monday, we finished Greedfall. Because we finished Greedfall, that is going to mean that we are now finding, we are now having to find something else for Monday nights. My list, which you'll find on the Discord, or you'll find on my both in the Discord, on the Facebook page, and wherever else. You'll find it in various wherever kind of locations. Ooh. That does a bunch of extra damage if he's surrounded by people. But not enough extra damage to make a difference. Prismatic Great Axe is cooler anyway. Makes a big old rainbow whoosh. Anyway. So, as I was saying, you will find, as I mentioned, you will find the options that I've been laying out. Oops. The options that I've at least been laying out under both in all sorts of places. So you can have a look over there. You can also look for. You can also go through and vote at either of those places by vote by reacting, that sort of thing. Oh gosh, the children are playing under the door when they're supposed to be sleeping. Oh my gosh. Anyway, they'll be fine. In any case, so the I need these. My primary options. Right now are Knights of the Old Republic. So Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Hold on a second. All right. Are Knights of the Old Republic, which is a real, quite significant. I can give that to Sarah. A significant option, pretty good option, something that I'm really quite seriously thinking about. And it's actually winning in all the polls currently. So especially if you would rather something other than KOTOR, that would be your opportunity to go and vote, convince me of something else. Oh, that's just better. It's just better. So yeah, feel free to convince me. I'm open to being convinced. I'm perfectly open to being convinced to do something else. There's always, there's always good options. Because I also have on the list that I really want to do at some point, at least, if not right away, then at least at some point, Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is another one that I've gotten. I mean, obviously, I've gotten tons of requests, things like that. and I've been meaning to play on the stream now for basically since I started this thing. Picked it up a while ago, and I haven't played it yet. I've been waiting to do it with you guys. So, if not next on Mondays, that may wind up being either when we're done with this or when we're done with either KOTOR or the other option, which is Dragon Age Inquisition. And yes, I know Dragon Age Inquisition gets a lot of crap. Justifiably, it gets a lot of crap. Let's do this. No, where is it? Yeah, let's do some of these wacky wild quests. A few of these in the hinterlands. I don't want to do this southwest area just yet because that's complex. There's a lot to it. But we'll do these southeast ones first, and then we'll go and do Cassandra's personal quest. How about that? And we'll bring Dorian in case there's Venatori. We'll bring Blackwall because we need a warrior. We'll bring Cassandra because 2 warriors never hurt anybody. Sounds good to me. Anyway, it is. I'm still a little bit torn between the 3. Between KOTOR, Dragon Age Inquisition, Mass Effect Andromeda, and Kingdom Come Deliverance. I am leaning a little bit towards KOTOR, and that would probably be KOTOR 1 and 2. Oh, yeah. Okay, so Detrick correctly says KOTOR 2 is really, really good. The only caveat is that it needs a certain content mod that restores a lot of the scenes and dialogue that weren't in the finished product. I have it. Before we get to KOTOR 2, though, I'm going to have to change it and change the version of it. Hey, Michael. Good evening. I'm definitely going to change the version of that mod that I have if we do KOTOR, because I have the version of that mod that that restores the whole droid planet. And the last time I played through it with the whole droid planet, M187 or whatever it was hell. It was terrible. It was one of those elements of the game that I don't actually think they cut because they ran out of time to produce it. Like a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, right? The dialogue and things like that. No, I'm pretty sure that they cut this because it was poorly designed and they actually actively decided to get rid of it because it was really poorly designed. Especially because when I decided to go through it on my last playthrough, you start going through the entire planet. There's a big section, a big portion of it where you have to go through as one of your droid companions. And you have 3 options for this. You have HK, if you've unlocked him. You have Goto, if you've unlocked him. And you have T4? Yeah, T4. Your astromech. And because T4... T7? Is it T7 or T4? I think it's T4. Because he was my highest level droid. And also, because I like him the best out of my droid characters. And because I was doing a light side playthrough, because otherwise I might do... HK, but HK was underleveled at the time, and I didn't have and I was doing a light side playthrough and all that stuff. I decided to go through with T7. T4, whatever it is, the astromech. The problem with that is that it has a bunch of dialogue options as your droid character, and the dialogue options change depending on which droid character you're using for this quest. Because I brought T7, who does not speak basic, all of the different dialogue options for the first third or so of this whole planet quest were variations of beep, bop, boop. basically, the entire quest line was in Gina Carano's pronouns as a language. It was very close to being unplayable, but I pushed through it. I did it. I made it through to the point where the main player character comes in, and you go rescue one of the Jedi, one of the missing Jedi that you're trying to find, the former members of the Council, that whole shebang. You go and find her, I think. And she gets killed. Like, cutscene killed. And it was a very unsatisfying conclusion. The whole quest was like not worth all the trouble. It was also gratuitously long and unbelievably boring.
We're needed. Let's move.
Die.
Thank you. If not for you, I'd be dead. Do you need anything?
Yes, actually, can
Probably report back.
Yes, please do that. Can I talk to you? That's Ritz. This is, the girl I'm looking for. Isn't it?
This is a mage. Eldreda, yes. I think that was her name. At least I've heard
think, huh?
other apostates call her that.
That's, not a very likely story. Why are you lying to me? You are definitely one of my subordinates. Why are you lying directly to me?
Picnic. Yes. The mage must have been hunting for blood magic. The Templars attacked the apostate. I suppose I just got caught in the middle. So, the truth.
Here we go.
I may have been, passing time with Eldreda.
These apostates are killing people, and you're out here rolling in the grass with them.
I know most of them are crazy, but Eldreda was better than some of them. and I thought... So, are you going to report me?
I'm not going to report you, provided you start using this talent of yours for the Inquisition. If you can seduce an apostate in the middle of war, you can make contacts and get information.
Report to Liliana.
All right.
That's
I
her
can do
thing.
that. Thanks for going easy on me.
Yeah, seducing information out of people is definitely Liliana's thing. Go report to her. That sounds good. Weaponized thoughterry. Anyway. Now that we've weaponized a thought, let's move right along.
More supplies.
Ah.
Whittle can make use of these.
What? Okay. Anyway. Sorry. So anyway, if I do, if and when we get to KOTOR 2, when I switch the mod around, I'm gonna switch to the version that doesn't have M148 or whatever the droid planet is, because oh my god, that quest line is just not worth it at all. It's a huge pain, and it doesn't actually add that much story stuff. There is some interesting things about the whole, like, you know, machines rising up to defeat us, and what are we going to do with them, and that kind of thing. It's like, okay, it's all right. It's actually pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's just really cool. Just really cool.
He's the one who killed the Divine at the Conclave as well. You
Ooh.
see, my lady, it wasn't the Maker.
I know you. They call you the Herald of Andraste for what you did at Haven. But are you? The Maker has not told me.
So in any case, yeah, that is something to look forward to if I do wind up doing KOTOR, which at this point it's looking like that is by far the most popular option. Unfortunately, Andromeda so far has literally one vote across all platforms. It was Bo who voted for Andromeda, and because he actually enjoyed it, and like I said, I did too. I really liked Andromeda. Don't get me wrong, I really did. A lot of the criticisms are definitely valid. It's almost definitely the weakest entry in the series so far, but still, it's still a really good game. I can't deny that. I mean, in its current state, once all the patches came out and stuff, it's a really good game. The problem is that it leaves a few, like, weird cliffhanger bits that were intended to be, they were very obviously intended to be in at least 2 major story DLCs. That never happened, because people bitched about it too much. Anyway, I do want to, like I said, I do want to play it eventually on the stream somehow. But again, the other option is Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a very big historical and religious themed game, which also would be a great thing to do on the stream. So, yeah, an option.
I am the Herald of Andraste.
And do you claim to hold power over the rifts the Maker has opened in the sky?
I can seal rifts, yes.
Then prove it. Show me that the rifts bend to your will, the will of the Maker. Show me the power you wield.
Okay.
This cult, what are you doing out here? What is it you think is happening?
The Chantry has fallen, and shown its imperfection in doing so. The Chant of Light was a lie. It was arrogance to think that mortal lips could frame the Maker's will, and so we wait in silence. The Maker has opened the sky. Soon he will call his chosen back to the Golden City.
Until later.
Until the Maker brings you back to us.
Okay, like a lot of cults like this, like offshoot cults,
Who in their right mind would worship a giant demon-spitting hole in the sky? Ah, wait. I just answered myself.
So, like, it's the sort of thing where it's another one of these where it's where there's a very clear doctrinal orthodoxy, let's say, but then also it has these weird offshoots, major and minor. You have what is the equivalent of the Great Schism between the main chantry and the chantry in Tevinter. But then you have these weird little offshoots that work by, I guess I would say, strategically ignoring parts and just making crap up on their own, at least in this case. But it's certainly an odd cult that is, again, only very loosely based on the Chant of Light, because it rejects the Chant of Light. This would be like a I'm gonna wait till it stops loading because I'm gonna be mean to one of my favorite punching bags. Hold on, I'm sorry. This is So it's almost like there was some kind of Christian cult that rejected parts of the Bible. Wouldn't that be weird? Like if they just took a few books of the Bible, I don't know, like 11 or so, and just said, those don't count. That'd be just so weird, wouldn't it?
My name is Hindle.
Hindle, your mother can't breathe. Your father sent me here for potion.
What? She was fine. She hasn't had the breathing trouble in... All right, I can help. Here, I have some already made. Go, take it to her now.
Fine. You can't just come with me? Oh my god, I thought she was just about to step off the edge. Anyway. Hey, Phoenix. I'm assuming, given that you're the name that Catholic is in the name of your YouTube name, that you understood the reference. There's something over there that I keep pinging. Mosaic piece, nice, nice. Guess it's down we're fine. Just a minor injury. It's okay.
Strong.
The Maker will save us.
Yeah. Okay. But it's... What the heck? Excuse me. How do I get over there? Anyway.
To the Inquisition.
Absolutely sick burn against the prots. I love it. Thank you for noticing me. Yeah, I get small enough numbers, especially in the chat, that I can keep up with you guys. No problem. At least most of the time. Again, unless I'm like doing... Where is this? Unless I'm like doing something very specific and the chat suddenly goes really too fast, then I get lost. But usually I'm alright. Anyway, welcome regardless. Welcome regardless. Hello there. That's what I was looking for, finally. Anyway. Yeah, that is, and I don't know, the whole...
If you meet my beloved, tell her I am waiting.
Oh. Who? Sorry, what now?
Helena should be here. We need to be together
Helena?
when the Maker comes.
Yeah, this is very Millerite, I guess. Notice
Where would your
something
friend be?
nasty going on in the world and assume that it's ending and that we should reject a bunch of Christian scriptures. Or, I mean, Chantry scriptures, but still.
She is my love, and she should be here. I wrote to her weeks ago. I know the path up the hill is dangerous, but surely the mages and Templars would not trouble a young lady.
I'm sorry. I can't help you.
Yet, I guess. Maybe I can at some point. Also, the mages and Templars would bother absolutely anyone who gets in their way. It's kind of how this conflict has been going. Yeah, Catholic Phoenix says, we Catholics know that it was actually the Protestant deformation. Yeah, it was a radical departure from Christian tradition. It was, quite directly a deformation of Christian tradition. It deformed and changed a lot of central aspects. I was actually just talking about a lot of this today in class, as it so happens. We actually need that. This is why small channels are great. Community is more intimate. Yeah, for sure. If I'm gonna be in the chat or even watching the chat, I like to be in and around a chat that is actually chatting like with each other and not just people trying desperately to be heard in a cacophony. If the chat rate is hello, if the chat rate's too quick, then no one's really talking to each other. It's not a chat, it's not a community. I like the like you said, I like the community aspect of a smallish group. We've got some regulars in here too, which is pretty nice. Oh, come on. Yeah. Is that it? Oh, come on. There we go. But yeah, it was actually, like I said, I was just talking about this in class today. That because we're talking about.
I must admit, Cassandra, I've never heard of these seekers of truth.
Nice.
Why would you?
We're actually
They
about
do
to go
not
do this
exist in
quest.
Tevinter.
So
But what are they? Some manner of super Templar? Is this one of those sudden secrets like proper hygiene?
Once we worked from the shadows, monitoring Templars and mages alike.
Ah, that clearly worked out well.
Your glibness does you no credit. The Mage Rebellion was beyond even our power to control.
yeah, so what I was talking about in class was we're on the Epistemology section in our philosophy of religion class. So I was bringing in a doctrine called Reformed Epistemology. If you're at all familiar with this, most notably from Alvin Plantinga and some others, who's well known for a lot of stuff because he is an incredibly prolific philosopher. But for this part, this is one of his earlier ideas, and it's been developed quite a bit by a lot of other philosophers, including a more recent scholar, a Catholic scholar named Linda Zagzebski, who brought up a sort of alternative version, taking a different approach to the thing, called which she calls counter-reformed epistemology. Now, it's called reformed epistemology pretty strictly for historical reasons, kind of a play off of reformed Christianity, like Calvinism, because Plantinga and a lot of the people involved with this, coming up with this idea, were Calvinists. And so it bears some marks of Calvinism here and there. And Zagzebski thinks basically that they're onto something. They're onto something really good, but she wants to change a few really central aspects of it so that it works properly, using the same ideas but doing it in a more Catholic way. And so, because it's funny, she decided to call her view and her is it her book on the subject or edited volume? But I think it actually might be called Counter-Reformed Epistemology, something like Catholic Perspectives on Religious Epistemology or something like that. And man, it's clever. It's a clever name, and it applies very well because she basically takes the distinctively Calvinistic elements of it, like total depravity being responsible for faults in our intellectual capacity. Total depravity is apparently, according to this theory, is why we can't directly know God by default, or at least why a lot of people can't directly know God by default. And those of us who can, it's through grace. It's through God's directly showing himself to us, very much like conditional election. Let's.
Have the believers spread the word.
They're a cult, so let's
As you say, Herald of Andraste.
let them do their
Some few will remain
zealotry
here.
thing.
The rest will go forth to do your will. When the Maker calls you to your great purpose, remember that we served you.
Okay. Nice. What else? Anything else around here? There's these things. Okay, let's go to the rift. So she replaces this, of course, with something like intellectual virtues, or what she calls epistemic virtues, which is basically the idea that we can be better or worse at figuring things out, figuring certain kinds of things out. The example I like to use is I have a musical background, so I can identify things like chord structures quite well. But somebody who has no musical background might not be able to tell what the hell chord is playing if there's a chord. They might just think, that what I would identify as a major chord, oh, that sounds nice and happy. Or like a major seventh. It's like, ooh, that's cool, that's happy, it's kind of rockish, or that kind of thing. Or somebody might notice a minor chord. I would notice call it a minor chord, but somebody else might say, ooh, it sounds sad, or something like that, you know? I'm on fire. Anyway, oh wait. You just use spell purge. Awful. Anyway, it is like I said, it is a great. Even the original doctrine of Reformed Epistemology is pretty good. I like it. There's a lot that I like about it. There's aspects, though, that I do think that really need to be corrected, and I think that Zagzebski does a good job of correcting. So I think that she has a good epistemological theory. It also, in a distinctively Catholic way, it has a communal approach to epistemology. That we fundamentally know things together, not simply or merely by ourselves. I don't need this stuff. I've stopped picking up junk loot because my inventory's full and I have a ton of money. Cedric said I was reading the history of Clovis, the Holy Roman Emperor, right? 500 AD of France last week. Was it France or was he the Holy Roman Emperor? I know it was of the Franks technically, but my early here's the thing, my political history of Rome is pretty good. I remember Roman emperors and Roman political history and military history quite well, but my medieval history studies have more been on cultural and economic stuff. So a little mixing. Anyway, continues. It was one of those rare times when I saw a schism in the church happen in real time. His ascension is the origins of divine right of kings. Right. That was that Pope Gelasius, or did that Gelasius II with the two swords doctrine? Or did that come later? Because that's the kind of thing that I have written about in the medieval context. I've written about and studied just to a significant degree. Just because that has further implications for later political and philosophical developments and sort of political theory, broadly speaking. What is this? Search the cave in the wall, in the hills. There's a cave, huh? Okay. Cave it is. Is it this? I don't think that's it. No, it's not. Oh, here we go. Ooh, that's interesting. Need fire. Wonder if this will work. No. I actually need fire. That means I need to get Vivienne. Darn. Alright, well, I can always come back to this eventually. What's this? Apostate caches. And these things. And then head back. Anyway, though. Yeah, it's, I've written about that, actually. I've studied the Two Swords Doctrine, the Gelasian Two Swords Doctrine, because it's especially relevant to later developments in political theory, especially things like what the moderns call separation of church and state, but which, oops, wrong way, but would be more appropriately termed in the Middle Ages, at least, the separation of the temporal. Oh, it's in the cave, isn't it? It's in the cave. Alright. Never mind. Separation from the temporal authority of the king, from the ecclesiastical or spiritual authority of the magisterium and the hierarchy. It's two kinds of authority. And two domains of authority, rather than it being an importance of two different power structures, rather than the importance being, I guess I should say, two different power structures. Patrick says he was founder of modern-day France. To be blunt, he was a savage barbarian who used one faction of the church to legitimize his rule. Saint Remy essentially added a bunch of biblical lore to justify Clovis's rule. Huh. Yeah, it's from what I remember of Clovis, he wasn't Charlemagne's father. He was of the same line as Charlemagne. I don't remember the exact relationship. Templar encampment. Rebelled. Okay. Turn the ring to the widow. Okay. But yeah, it's there have been something like equivalent doctrines before. Lady Velina. Oh, Lady Velina. This is the mage. The light in the sky shouldn't scare you. I have the maker finally coming back. And she died. Great. Nice. That's so wonderful. Huh. That's kind of cool. There have always been, I mean, this is one of my little, this is one of the potential tensions, one of the at least possible tensions between my, between my libertarianism and my, staunch Catholicism.
Okay. Hooray.
It's noticing that court intellectuals tend very strongly to
Whittle can make use of these.
defend the power of the state at the expense of the truth, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, that includes the church as well. Dragon Age lore reading by Professor McCoy. She died. Yeah, well, it happens a lot. All right, I mean, she was unlived. She met her end upon the end of a sword, I guess. Yeah, whatever. Anyway. On that note, though, Phoenix, I'm still probably eventually working on a proper like audiobook style reading of Hard and Hightown. Talking about a reading of Dragon Age lore by yours truly. I am, like I said, very gradually working on a full audiobook recording of Hard and Hightown, which is a great novella, I guess you'd call it. There is a novel version. There's a book version of it you can buy. But there is no audiobook version of it. Livent. Yeah, there's no audiobook version of it to my knowledge. And certainly, unfortunately, so unfortunately, not one read by Brian Bloom, Varric's voice actor. If there had been, I'd have bought it in an instant. That is fantastic. So I'm going to do my best for a reading of it. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. It'll at least be okay. As far as I know, there is only one recording of the thing, and it's from another Dragon Age. It's from a Dragon Age lore channel, Gilderthallen. It's good. She does a great job, but she doesn't have quite the voice for noir, which is very noir. It's very noir. Promoted to cadaver. God. You need to check a cave up in the hills off the path between Redcliffe and Haven. If you can get past the mages and the Templars, it's worth it. Purest vein I've seen so close to the surface. Interesting. Vein of lyrium, maybe? Let's see. And that's... Oh, these two. Okay. Yeah, so let's do those, and then back to the cult. And then we can skedoodle. Why did I say that? Why did I say that word? It's fine. Anyway, let's pretend it didn't. So. Yeah. So anyway, like I said, you guys in particular, and also more in general, just sort of the audience, broadly speaking, has me leaning towards KOTOR. That does also mean that if you have any mod recommendations for KOTOR 1, let me know. Dragon Age audiobook doesn't exist. Professor McCoy, my disappointment is immeasurable and my day is ruined. Yeah, honestly. Okay, so there's a story behind this and why it ruined my day. Because it actually did ruin my day at some point. They did a promotional thing with Brian Bloom on a stage reading from the book a section. He read like half a chapter. And I'm just like, wow, this could not be better. Because it's Varric. He's doing the Varric voice and the narration style that you find in like the tapestries and stuff like that. In like the game narration. He's doing it spot on. And I was just like, wait, so is this, please tell me this is advertising for the audiobook version, right? Where can I buy it? Is there a link to it? And there was a link to the hard copy, which you can get on Amazon. Now, not saying that's not a good thing. Not saying that's not nice. It's nicely illustrated. Very fine bound book. But why did they have him come in to the studio and record half a chapter and not have him record the audiobook and then sell that? That, my disappointment was immeasurable, I must say. So I always say, if you're trying to find something and you can't find it because it doesn't exist, and you're capable of it, make it yourself. That's why I write half the things that I'm writing, that I write in general. Currently, writing a paper, hoping someone will actually publish. Who knows? I may have to go outside of academia to publish this, but we'll see. Currently working on a paper that is a set of objective ethical standards for imposing, for the imposition of policies like COVID mitigation measures, specifically analyzing the requirement of wearing masks in classrooms, because for some reason my university is still doing that nonsense. And I'm setting out basically a set of guidelines per the principle of double effect for when such a measure would be justified and what the justifications would have to look like, because by contrast, the official reasoning and the justifications presented by my university are literally nothing. And I've gotten confirmation that there is literally nothing, no backing for the policy from several different administrators. Is 3 several? It's 3. Anyway. So yeah, that's not a good thing. So yeah, there's clearly no reason behind it, but the point of the paper is not to specifically like call out my university or whatever. I mean, if the shoe fits, fine. But the point of this is to lay out the kinds of standards that would need to be met by someone wanting to propose a policy imposition. And this can be applied more broadly. This can realistically be applied to any kind of policy imposition. You can take this set of standards and apply it just about wherever. And here's the neat part. It's really hard to fulfill these standards, especially if there's absolutely no scientific backing to your position. The worst part, of course, being that a lot of institutions put no thought into the ethical considerations of anything whatsoever anyway. But I digress. Basically, the reason I'd be writing this is that no one has. No one has actually tackled this issue academically from an ethical perspective, from a justificatory perspective, especially from a traditional sort of scholastic Catholic natural law perspective. Nobody's done this. And it needs to be done by somebody, and I'm an expert in the relevant material, so I'm an ethicist, primarily. I'm a meta-ethicist, primarily, but whatever. Close enough. Yeah, I don't know. It's the kind of thing, again, I've always kind of thought this, that if you find something that you can't find, if you find that you can't find something, make it.
I found Ritz and rescued her from an attack by the Templars. She's fine.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time. It's dangerous out here for everyone. I'm glad the Inquisition is trying to put things right.
Or two. Well, there. Anyway. Yeah, that actually brings up one of the things I kind of wanted to talk about tonight, which was there's that whole experience has really confirmed for me something that I already intellectually knew but didn't really hit home for me.
I found this ring on a Templar I killed.
This is it. Praise to you and the Inquisition for giving my husband justice. It won't bring him back, but his spirit will rest easier now. As will mine.
Right. Come here, giant warnug. Anyway, no, that's dismount. That's not what I wanted. What's gallop? That's it. Lever tap. What's oh, we can't do that. Wait, can I? Yeah, no, I can't do that now. We'll do it later, another time. Anyway, so like I was saying, it's this was really brought to my attention by a great podcast episode of the Tom Woods Show from last week, 2081, I think. That's what I've written down, so I hope that's right. This was a conversation between Tom Woods and Dave Smith, both of whom are great libertarian podcasters who've been doing a fantastic job with all COVID stuff, especially. And one of the things that they noted is that the representatives of sort of the regime are just fundamentally not impressive people. 17 streams in, what button is gallop? Listen. I have barely ever used the mount, like, at all. And this is why. This game is not designed with a good riding mechanic. This ain't Red Dead, guys. This is... The mount is for fast travel. That's it. So I've used it, like 5 or 6 times. I've also played this game 4 times previously, I think, give or take. But I've also, before that, always played on mouse and keyboard. Now I'm using the gamepad. In any case, that aside, I mean, fair criticism. Still, though, I feel like I have to justify myself. Like, awful gameplay. Anyway, they made a really good point that the people who rule over us are really fundamentally not impressive people, like, at all. And I mean, I kind of knew that. Just, you know, I kind of knew that intellectually. I kind of knew that a lot of that people who can do things don't get into administrative positions, and they don't go into government. They go into, like, actual practical doing stuff. And usually, it's okay. And usually that is a very different sort of breed of person than the kind of people who will just go into the real world and actually doing things. Even educators, like there's a difference between educators, whether it's teachers, professors, whatever, on the one hand, and administrators on the other.
Helena should be here. We need to be together when the Maker comes.
Sorry, she aliven't.
I found a woman's body down the hill with a letter on it.
This letter, Helena is dead. But we were meant to be together.
Oh no.
The Maker would not keep us apart. What am I supposed to do now?
I don't think I want this guy. He's a little crazy.
Helena died because you weren't there to protect her. Go home to those you can still protect.
You're right. I'll go.
Yeah.
This place, even if it's all true, it isn't enough. Not without her. I will return home to protect my people. Thank you for your sobering words.
Oh, man. Phoenix says, I live in Australia. I know for a fact that people who lead my country aren't impressive people. I can vibe with that. Oh, God, don't I know? So, I've been saying for a while now that there is hot competition for the third worst government in the world. I mean, first and second place are solidly held. Really with no contest for North Korea and China. Like, worst government in the world is North Korea, hands down, no question. Second worst, Jinping in China. 1 and 2 are far and away. Those gold and silver medals are locked down. But the third place trophy, there's really been some competition, some fierce competition. Yes, I do. Can I give it to you? No. Why can't I talk to you? Anyway, I'm gonna try and talk to this guy. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna wander around for a little while and see what happens. But yeah, the third place medal for most evil government in the world has been really closely contested between Australia, New Zealand, and now Canada. Because man, Justin Trudeau has been trying so hard to live up to his terrible father's evil reputation. And that is the case, whether he's actually Pierre Trudeau's son or whether it's Daddy Castro. Either way, doesn't matter. Either reputation, he's trying so hard to live up to, and that's not a good thing.
Do you have the potion?
Yes, can I talk to you? Nope, not stabby. Nope, don't want to stab him. Nope, not my attack button. That's my block button. Russia's been going for the bronze medal lately. They've been pushing it, but honestly, they have been trying hard enough. Oh, come on. I don't think they've been trying hard enough. They are. I think they're a distant enough 6th behind North Korea, China, and then a very close 3-way tie for bronze medal between Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Yeah, I think Russia's up there. Saudi Arabia's up there too. They're currently committing genocide, and that's kind of a big deal. But like, Saudi Arabia is in the mix. Let's not forget Saudi Arabia is definitely in the mix. They are slaughtering and starving hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of Yemeni people, including like children. So, yeah, that's not good. That's definitely not good.
What did I tell you? Do you have the potion?
Okay. Really? No, I don't want to attack him. I'm gonna look up if this is glitched. Erica, can you give a look at this? It's called Shallow Breaths. Or if there's a way to talk to somebody if the quest marker appears faded out.
I passed round what
Anyway.
No one will go
Yeah,
wrong.
Russia's up there on the list. Definitely top 10. Definitely top 10. But I don't know if they're close enough to like that top 3 though.
About you, Herald of Andraste. I am Enchanter Elendra. I hope you find a way to end this foolish war.
The NPC ghosted me long enough to read the comments. Yeah, it's true. Thanks, I guess. NPC ghost. Here.
I believe this is your phylactery. I found it on the body of a dead Templar named Matrin.
Ah, I suspected he died when he did not join me or send word. Maker curse the fools who started this war, and the fools who now fight it. Thank you.
Anders.
Matrin was important to me. Here, for your trouble.
The Inquisition could use the skills of a powerful mage.
If I wished to kill others, I would have joined the rebels. How is the Inquisition any better?
There are countless ways for you to help the Inquisition safely without having to fight. We need wards reinforced and glyphs studied. If you have skill with healing, you could save many lives.
True enough. If the Inquisition believes I can help, then I will do what I can. My skills are yours. Just give me a moment to gather my things.
Wow, okay. So yeah, this is apparently a known bug. So I'm just gonna go in there. Yeah, wiki bug report. Okay, yeah, cool. That makes sense. I'm gonna go in there, and I'm gonna just mark the quest as active. I'm gonna stand around until the speak dialogue appears. And I'm gonna talk about stuff. Because that's what this is for anyway, right? Base mod team searching up the bug fixes in real time. Mod team is my wife in the other room, so special thanks to wonderful Erica over there. It's not a team; it is a mod, and she does a great job. She's mostly here to, honestly, to counter thought bots. Okay, I'm just gonna stand right here until you switch chairs and talk about stuff. Anyway, so. So in this conversation between Tom Woods and Dave Smith, talking about the sort of unimpressive people who lord over us, they actually brought up a few great examples that really shows the consistency of this problem across all different sort of across different institutions, let's say. Because you have stuff that they brought up, which, for example, looking at juggling a 2-year-old who wants to escape the living room and knock on the office door and chase cats and banning thoughtbots. Here we go. Ah, good.
Do you have the potion?
Yes, I do.
Here you go. The potion and instructions on how to make it.
Silas bless you. Or the maker. Or whoever. It doesn't matter. Just thank you.
Silas.
I'll give it to her right away. If ever I can help the Inquisition, you have my word.
Not paying attention to the stream, usually watching Twitch VODs at the same time. Listen, if that's why my bandwidth is going down, you gotta watch out for that. It did work, so that was awesome. Good job, though. That was a clever fix, because I did not do a recent save. That would have sucked. What's this? Karaswin. This Black Emporium. Not what we're going to do. Let's go to Skyhold. Back to Skyhold for now. But yeah, so it's they were talking about initially. Oh, not live streams. That tanks the stream. Okay, yeah. VODs isn't as bad. So the thing that brought it up was looking at was initially talking about how the debate they had a while ago with the Soho forum between Scott Horton from antiwar.com and Bill Kristol, the basically author of the Bush Doctrine. The debate that Scott Horton completely, unequivocally, and easily dominated with the guy who was in charge of basically the neocon foreign policy of the early aughts, the early noughties, who just got thrashed by some guy with a high school education who just knows his stuff. That's all. Scott Horton, if you're not familiar with him, is absolutely brilliant, absolutely knows pretty much all there is to know about foreign policy, especially in the Middle East. He's knowledgeable about a lot of other U.S. foreign policy stuff as well, not just in the Middle East, but that's his kind of primary area. So he's brilliant. And the Soho Forum debate had been scheduled since the apocalypse started. It was postponed and postponed and postponed until near the end of last year. And it's an Oxford-style debate, so there's an objective winner and an objective loser based on an initial vote. So the entire audience votes on which position, for or against the resolution, they find to be more likely. And then at the end of the debate, they vote again to see how many people changed positions. And you win if you've changed more minds. Even still, even starting off, I think Scott started off with like 70+% in favor of his position. And Bill Kristol only started with like maybe 10%, with a good chunk undecided.
Have you had any trouble with them?
Not at all. I will inform you if that changes.
Where is it? I need to go to the Kara Osman. Is like right here. It's just not here. That's the DLC. Is it just not at the war table? Because it's just not at the war table. That's weird. My quest map is lying to me. Anyway, he went from like 70-something% all the way up to over 90. And Kristol lost votes. Because he basically had no argument for his position. None. Oh, the world map. That's right. Okay, so the world map, not the... All right, let's do it. Varric, because it involves red lyrium. And we need a mage. Vivienne? Vivienne. Yeah. Or Dorian. Nah, Vivienne. I like Vivienne, so let's bring Vivienne. Anyway. But yeah, it was incredible to watch, and it really was. It was a fantastic debate. If you haven't seen it, definitely should. The most interesting part for their conversation, especially, was noticing how defeated Bill Kristol was, especially near the end of the debate. Especially in the rebuttal phases. He was just, like, receded into his little shell the entire time. He had so few arguments that he was even able to put forward. It got to the point where he was just utterly defeated.
Odd that the trail should lead us here. Ban Loren is a pious, unassuming
And he-
man. What has he become involved in?
He might simply be a victim as well.
Let's see what lies within.
Yeah, he basically had no argument to present. For so many things, which was just, oh, come on, really? There we go. He had shockingly little argument to present, which shouldn't have been the case, because this was like the guy, the well-known neoconservative architect behind so much of the political ideology at the time. He should have at least known what he was talking about. So it was actually like really impressive to see how little that he had in terms of like arguments for this at one point popular position.
Promises. I should have known. The Order of Fiery Promise is a cult with strange beliefs about the Seekers.
Oh, another
They've haunted
cult.
us for centuries.
Cool. Yeah, okay, so Phoenix asked if I played Kingdom Come Deliverance. I haven't, it's on the list. It is on the list. And I am considering whether to play it next. It's either going to be KOTOR 1 and or 2. Mass Effect Andromeda, which has the least votes, by the way. It has literally 1 vote across all platforms where I put this poll up. Or Kingdom Come Deliverance. And I definitely want to play it at some point. The question is whether I want to do that next, or whether I want to do KOTOR next. Because I'm looking for something to do on Monday nights. I just finished Greedfall, which, by the way, great game, great set of streams. If you're interested, they're up on the channel. So, it was a fantastic game. I actually really recommend it, especially for as cheap it is. It's like a AA small budget title. But it was great. Some really interesting, theological and religious and metaphysical themes and such. But in any case, yeah, I am looking forward to Kingdom Come Deliverance at some point, at least. So, yeah. If you want, I would be open to doing that one next. I'm leaning towards KOTOR, because there's a lot of people who are wanting me to play KOTOR, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about Star Wars, which I always like talking about Star Wars, even if it's kind of in the shitter. But anyway, the franchise currently is not doing so hot, but that's okay. Actually, you know what? KOTOR would give me the opportunity to talk about literally the only part of the Star Wars franchise that is doing better than kinda okay. Because I would say The Mandalorian is doing kinda okay. But tell you what's doing great are those cinematic trailers for Star Wars The Old Republic. Those are phenomenal. Even story-driven. They're really good. Anyway, I digress. My options are open. Phoenix is based. It's the first game where if you get a good reputation, the common folks say God be with you whenever they walk past. It makes me feel like a good boy more than most games. That's nice. I like that. It's very historical. From everything I've seen about it, it's actually properly historical, which is really impressive. The level of detail that went into it. That's actually something I would look forward to quite a bit, because I have a good deal of actual academic training in the period, although less in Bohemia. I've studied less of Central and Eastern Europe, more of Western Europe, so a lot of, at least in the Middle Ages, a lot of France and England that I've looked at, culturally speaking, so I'd be lost here and there, but still nice. Still good, also good to look into. Yeah, so the discussion of the complete idiots who rule over us moved on from someone like Bill Crystal to talking about the Sanjay Gupta interview with Joe Rogan. Sanjay Gupta, the doctor from CNN, where he made a horrible, unforced error asking Joe Rogan whether he was planning to get vaccinated. And Joe's like, why? I just got COVID. And he just walked right into it, and he had no response. Absolutely no response. Could not give Joe a coherent reason for why he should get vaccinated, having just gotten COVID. And this is the guy, or CNN, who's been pushing not just vaccination, but forced vaccinations for everybody, including people who just recovered. So, yeah, come on now. You would think that he would know that question was coming and have something prepared, but no, he didn't. He clearly didn't. And of course, we can go to something that's been in the news lately, our unbelievably unimpressive Supreme Court justices, or nominees in the current case. One who can't define a woman. One who gave us the second worst essay opening ever. Let me pull this up so I can actually read this. I don't want to misquote Justice Sotomayor, because that would be just wrong to misquote something so terrible. Let me find the quote exactly. Here it is. Pulling it right up. I'm not going to bother putting it on screen. I'm just going to read it off. So, Justice Sotomayor. This was with respect to the recent case surrounding abortion. And so she said, "How is your interest anything but a religious view?" And here comes the worst part. Here comes the bad part. "The issue of when life begins has been hotly debated by philosophers since the beginning of time. It's still debated in religions. Yes. And also ethicists and legal scholars." Come on now. Like, really? That's the kind of thing that I would demand that an undergraduate entry-level student resubmit because it was crap. We are ruled by incredibly unimpressive people. And this again, what led to my decision of this really is that this applies just as well to other institutions as well. Erica says F-. Yes, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So this is also the justice who, in an official Supreme Court opinion, stated that she doesn't understand the 10th Amendment. And I'm not misstating that. She officially stated that it is on record that she does not understand the 10th Amendment. Justice of the Supreme Court, everybody. Anyway, unimpressive people. And then again, this applies to the various, not to be too uncharitable to any particular individual, but I'll leave his name out of it. University administrators with business degrees, let's say, who are in charge of policy decisions for some ridiculous reason, and also scientific decisions and ethical decisions and pedagogical decisions and basically everything else, who have no right idea what they're talking about and make decisions entirely arbitrarily and are willing to admit it if you press them hard enough on it. So, again, I have all of this on record, and it'll when I eventually manage to get this published, if and when I manage to get this published. Like I said, I might have to go outside academia to get this thing published. I'm sure there are, reputable media outlets that would still publish such a thing, but regardless. Either way, it's people like this who are in charge of a lot of our lives, and it's really, really disappointing once you realize it. And I still have the instinct, just like Dave was talking about on the podcast that I was referring to. Dave was talking about how he still has this instinct to think that the people in charge at least know what's going on, right? Because you think they've got it, right? They got to have at least some idea of what they're doing. No, they don't. They're ridiculous. They're embarrassing. And it's embarrassing that these people like this, are able to tyrannize so many other people. They're capable of this? They're barely capable of tying their shoes. Come on. Anyway. Detrick said SOTOR's Star Wars The Old Republic, Star Wars The Old Republic is stupidly good. Most of the Imperial storylines are very fun. Yeah, the cinematics are 10 out of 10. Yeah, the cinematics are like the best thing to come out of Star Wars since... I'm tempted to say since Disney's purchase of Lucasfilm. I'm really tempted to say that. Someone dispute me on that. Somebody convince me otherwise. But I'm thinking that it might actually be the best that the cinematics, taken collectively especially, for Star Wars The Old Republic, might be the best thing that has come out of Star Wars since the purchase by Disney. Yeah, that's a long pause because I really had to think about it. I had to think about that harder than someone who's not a biologist has to think about how to define a woman. Wait, what? Hey, we were talking.
What kind of strange
Oh, here we go. Okay.
They believe they are seekers, the only rightful
Oh, okay.
ones. They say we robbed their powers long ago, preventing them from ending the world.
Ending the world?
The only way to truly eradicate evil in their eyes, the world will be reborn a paradise. It's all nonsense.
So they're just Constantine. We're back here again. If you didn't see Monday's stream where we ended Greenfall, the ending of Greenfall, we were dealing with somebody who thought that they could wipe out the corruption of the world and replace it with something of their own. It was basically the Thanos in Endgame kind of resnapping. Yeah, let's go with that. It was that kind of an idea. And here we have it once again. What is it with this week and people wanting to end the world so they can remake it in glory? I don't know. Eric says, "My poor sweet boy." Yeah, but Constantine. Poor Constantine. Poor Constantine.
Whatever forbidden magic they can find to make themselves true seekers. This explains why the seekers might be here, but not the connection to Corypheus.
Yeah, like I was saying before, it was a great game. Greedfall. Highly recommend the game itself, and I will of course, because how can I not, highly recommend my stream. It was a lot of fun. We talked about a lot of really interesting topics. At least I thought so. A lot of interesting topics for discussion came up in that game. Just because, again, it's a sort of a colonialism simulator to a large degree. What is that? There's a ping over here, but whatever. Phoenix says, "I wish that they would make KOTOR using the D&D 5th edition engine." Ooh, they might actually for the remake. I wonder if they will, because the remake is coming out. It says it would sell for sure, but companies like Countries are led by unimpressive people. Oh yeah. I mean, look, Wizards of the Coast is led by unimpressive people. Their newest book has gotten all kinds of criticisms for being just pointlessly derivative, and with unnecessary identity politics stuff too, like relying very heavily on having all the authors be people of color / colored people, whatever, rather than actually talking about the content, because the content is basically something trying to be Planescape, but without actually being Planescape. Because so there's this, they have this new extraplanar location of basically a paradise place, with access to a bunch of different planes of reality. And they're having these different planes of reality be based on different real-world cultures. Cool concept. There's a bug. They've been coming in because it's been raining. I apologize. But they, it's a cool concept, right? I like it. Then again, they are refusing to update their existing settings, which have real-world based cultures. There's no book on the unapproachable East still. So like Karatur and Thay, stuff like that, in Forgotten Realms setting. Yeah, it's Erica says another Candlekeep book with single adventures for like levels 1 through 14, something like that. Yeah, something like that. That sounds cool. In theory, that sounds pretty cool. Candlekeep Mysteries was pretty good. I haven't played. I've run through all of them, but the ones I've seen, the ones I've used, and the ones I've read have been good. In any case, though, right? It's. And then also the big thing that bothers me is instead of having, they have this new setting, this new like Citadel of Splendors or something, or whatever it's called. Instead of just having the central thing be set in Sigil, which is the City of Doors, which has been around since the Forgotten Realms has been around as a setting, as an area, and it's incredibly fascinating. It's a really interesting area. It's just that it's dangerous. It can be dingy instead of being this weird utopia place. It's like, why would you want it to be this weird utopia place when you can have it be the City of Doors at the center of the cosmos kind of thing? And again, this is actually another video I want to do soon, another lecture video I want to do soon, which was on D&D cosmology, particularly Forgotten Realms cosmology, because it's really fascinating, it's really well put together, and it's incredibly reminiscent of actual medieval cosmology, sort of scholastic Christian cosmology, with some significant and important differences, which are still worth examining and very interesting. So look forward to that. It's coming eventually. I've got that one on the docket. I've got a video on Disney's Hercules on the docket, and I've got one that I may need to do actually for class on Anselm's dialogue on truth. And the Heart in Hightown thing. So those are the ones that are on my I need to record kind of things. They're all relatively planned out. So except the Hercules one, that needs more planning. So that's probably later on the list. Phoenix says, I reckon if they wanted to empower black people, they could easily make a source book that could be a combination of Zulu Africa and fantasy Wakanda, but I don't think the goal is actually empower. Well, I mean, they can do it in Forgotten Realms. They can make a setting in Amn. Or they can make a quest or an adventure in Amn. Amn is a sort of African/Middle Eastern country in the Forgotten Realms, south of Baldur's Gate, which used to be ruled by genies, like air genies, like air djinns, that was at one point overthrown by a slave rebellion, and now magic is taboo. But unless it's for like royal purposes, it's very kingly, it's very noble, they're wealthy. It would be a really cool adventure setting, and it would be full of people of color. Let's just say. And Ganassi, but whatever. But like, you know, I don't know. I don't know why they don't do that. Now, to be fair, there has been one adventure. Yeah, there's been two adventures, which have focused heavily on black people. 2 5th edition adventures. What was it? A Tomb of Annihilation in Chult. This Chult is basically North Africa. It's jungle, African jungle. So there's a lot of black people, basically. And then the other one, which is, I'm going to be a little bit mean and tongue-in-cheek about this, Out of the Abyss, which is about demons who are not black people, but also about drow. Black elves. Anyway. Yeah, Erica said, which I realize is another Utopia setting, sort of mimicking Wild Beyond the Witchlight. That's true. In which you can literally get through the entire adventure without a single combat. Yeah, that bothers me a little. I mean, it's cool that you can, but it's a little weird that was a design philosophy that they put into it. Like, that should be something that players have to really figure out and think through. Catholic says, Catholic Phoenix, I agree that they neglect their other settings. The last Dark Sun source book was for 4th edition. They haven't done one for 5th at all. Yeah, no. Dragonlance either. And Kryn. There hasn't been a single Dragonlance anything. There was only, I think, one book set in Greyhawk. I think. And it's Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Yeah, Ghosts of Saltmarsh. Which is another anthology series one, which you can move and place anywhere anyway. So, like the last one, which the kind of spooky Cthulhu style adventure, which I think would work really, really well in Marsember, in Suzale, or not Suzale, in Marsember in Cormyr, the Forgotten Realms. I'm a Forgotten Realms guy. I've always been a Forgotten Realms DM. I like playing in the Forgotten Realms. It's a cool setting. It's a really detailed setting. But I get where you're coming from. Because the other settings are really cool and really unique, and they have been gravely neglected. Even Planescape. Like, the interplanar stuff has been gravely neglected in 5th edition.
A seeker. Did they
or an actual
torture
seeker.
him to death? The promises will pay for this.
Oh, that was all? Okay. Erica says, Chult is such a good setting, and none of it feels intrusive at all. They did do some cleanup of some of the diseases and some of the random encounters. No more cannibal people. But it's such a rich setting. It's a shame that the module basically forces players to ignore all of it because you're on a super time crunch. Yeah. Honestly, if I were to use, Tomb of Annihilation for anything, I would probably use it. I'd probably use it for either setting stuff. So, like, for Chult, if I were making my own Chultan adventure. or I would use it for the actual mega dungeon at the end. Nice. Because the dungeon at the end is like super badass. I've never gotten to it. Because I've only actually played Tomb of Annihilation one time. And we did not get very far.
As the Seekers of Truth have proven
It's a grind.
resistant to the effects of red lyrium, the Elder One has seen fit to place them in your care. Reclaim your destiny, and know that the Elder One expects your devotion as repayment. Signed by Lord Samson, Commander of the Red Templars. Does Corypheus not realize the promises want the world to end? What use are they to him?
Eric says there's a ton of fun dungeons and locations and NPCs all over the place. Yeah, but again, like you said, there's no incentive to go, and there's a bunch of incentive to avoid it all. Like you said, time crunch. Yeah. Felix says, you and I are like Professor. We both have S-tier wives who play D&D. Absolutely. Yeah, we're actually, Erica and I are currently in 3 games. I'm running 2 and she's running 1. I'm running a Curse of Strahd game, which originated in first few levels in the Forgotten Realms, then got stuck in Barovia. That one is with some of my my academic colleagues, some other professors and such, religion theology professors. Never before have I seen a more overthinking group. I'll leave it at that. Erica can go ahead and do the thing. Do the thing if you want. If you want to complain, you can. I'm not going to stop you. Oh, I will also complain about the tier system because I think S tier is dumb and it should just go A, B, C, D, F instead of S, A, B, C, D. Because S is basically just A. Anyway, it bugs me. Stupid complaint, but it's a complaint nonetheless. So I've got that one. I've got a standard Forgotten Realm setting, just set out of Waterdeep, where we're doing bits and pieces of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, we're doing bits and pieces of other modules, and some homebrew quests. Basically, they're a group of adventurers looking for quest board stuff. A lot of fun. Who was it? Michael in the chat? Is in that group? Was it Michael? You're in here, right? Anyway, you're in that group. Fun, I hope. Hope I'm doing a good job. And then Erica is doing her own homebrew world, which is like a proto-Christian, like a pre-Christian type setting, with some really nifty colonialization type themes, but then also a kind of hubris of man causing God to cast us down type themes. And I won't say much more because I don't want to spoil anything in case other players listen. So super cool. Nick said, "Oh no, the genie is out of the bottle." I said the T word. I better distract him with something else. No, it's annoying. That's all. The minor annoyance. Oh god. Yeah, Erica wants a TPK for the Curse of Strahd group just because of we got through literally one room of that one big dungeon that I'm not going to name because I don't want to spoil anything if anyone is going to play Curse of Strahd. There's a big dungeon. We made it through one room in a session last week. One room. In a 3-hour session. Like 2.5 hours. But still, one room. There are reasons for this. Most of it, though, is overthinking. And trying desperately to decide what to do and pondering over things. And going through a couple of things somewhat slowly. But anyway. Yeah, Eric says I'm forcing him to continue the Dragon Heist plot because he doesn't want to do it. Yeah, pretty much. I don't actually like the quest of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, but I love the setting. So naturally, she's making me do the the plot, which I don't actually care for. I love it as a setting guide. Dragon Heist is maybe my favorite book as a setting guide, but it's kind of bad as a campaign. Kind of poorly designed as a campaign, honestly. Anyway. I can explain why I think that if you're interested, but I really think that it doesn't do a good job of actually It's an investigation quest on railroad tracks, on well-hidden railroad tracks. Which is really weird for that kind of investigation quest. Also, the 4 mega dungeons at the end, you will use at least one of not mega dungeons, the 4 dungeons at the end of the module, you will use at most one of them, and even then, only if you screw up something huge. If you mess something up, then you'll go to one of them. By default, if you actually accomplish things properly and succeed at the prior steps in the quest, you won't go to any of the dungeons at the end of the quest. They're just sitting there, unused. That's bad game design, guys. That's just poor game design. Anyway.
Corypheus will probably betray them before they get their chance.
But after he gets what he needs out of them. But this
Probably
doesn't
has something to do
explain
with
how he
Seekers.
captured the Seekers in the first place, or what's been done with them. We must keep looking.
The letter said Seekers were resistant to Red Lyrium.
Our abilities grant us many gifts, but a resistance to Red Lyrium's corruption? That seems strange. Although it would explain why none have numbered among the Red Templars. And thus Seekers would be useless to Corypheus. He would have no leash to hold us.
Yeah, so he's either going to sell them to someone in exchange for loyalty, like the weird cult, or just otherwise kill them off. Oh man, apparently, Erica says, there's a lot of resources on Reddit to combine all the villains into one campaign. I can see something like that. But yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. And it sounds really ham-fisted and artificial. I'm doing it. Except maybe the Castellanters. I might not have the Castellanters be relevant at all. I don't... Their story is the least compelling out of the 4 big villains, the villain groups. But our background stuff going on involves the Gentarum. It involves Xanathar and Xanathar Guild. It involves the Bregandartha and Jarlaxle. At least all to some degree. Even if it's just their background NPCs causing trouble in the city. That means that there will be quests about them once in a while. So yeah, they're around. I might even bring in the Castellanters. I don't know if I will. I don't know if I'll bother with them.
You sound worried.
I am. The Seekers are my family.
But yeah, you guys meaning my players. So Michael, if you're still here, and Erica, you guys have already messed with, 2? No, all 3 of those groups directly. You guys have screwed with them. So they are probably all aware of your presence. World, really? We're gonna do that? We're gonna play that game? All right. Anyway, but yeah, they're all aware of you guys. You have screwed with them. Now, not to a huge degree yet. Nothing too major yet. But you have messed with all of them. Because there was a... Can I climb this? Who puts this here? In such a way that I, the player, can't move it aside this time. Anyway. But yeah, you guys messed with the Gentarum when you rescued Floon. When you guys were still following the beginnings of the Dragon Heist. Then you messed with the Gentarum. No, you messed with the Xanathar Guild when you raided their hideout to rescue... Wait, which order? I forget which order it was. But the 2 guys you rescued. You rescued one from the Gents and one from the Xanathars. And then, in a quest that I borrowed heavily from, from Dragon Age 2. Damn it. Missed the draw. Floon from the Gents, Renair from the Xanathar. That's right. Okay. I couldn't remember the order. Not offhand. It's in my notes, I guess. Okay. Anyway, and then the Brigandartha... Was it backwards? Yeah, I don't remember. It's in my notes somewhere. You bothered the Brigandartha in a quest that I basically just stole from Dragon Age 2, where somebody was stealing guard payments, or watch, I guess technically, city watch payment deliveries, because of an inside person. The Order of Fiery Promise. Consider the time in which the original Inquisition existed. The first blight had devastated the world, tearing down the mighty Divinter Imperium and leaving nothing in its place. Just as there were several cults of Andraste vying to become the true inheritor of the Prophet's faith, there was more than one group claiming to represent the one true path to deliver the world from chaos. The Order of Fiery Promise was one of these, a band of men and women who decreed that not only was the end of the world nigh, it was necessary. Thedas must be cleansed with fire and reborn as a paradise. This they solemnly promised. They devoted themselves utterly to seeing this come about. Whether they ever drew close to their goal is unknown. The Inquisition eventually crushed these promisers during a battle recorded only as the Cleansing of Cherno. The cult reappeared in the early Divine Age, claiming to take up the Inquisition's mantle after it had transformed into the Seekers of Truth, leading to chantry hunts that did not see the promisers eliminated again until the Exalted Age. Cool. I love the deep lore backstory in the Dragon Age setting. A lot of it's really cool. Some of it is a little bit silly. The silly parts including where the name Thedas comes from, because it's just an abbreviation for the Dragon Age setting. Gotta love that. Oh. Very fancy. But yeah, it's there's so much background to Dragon Age. It's very nicely detailed, and a lot of the background, the stuff that has gone on in the sort of deep past, is incredibly interesting, and probably most strangely, it's a lot of it's oddly theologically sound. A lot of what's written about the Maker actually tracks properly onto God in a way that is honestly quite deeply surprising. I wouldn't have thought that they would get anything like proper monotheistic theology right. But a lot of the descriptions of the Maker, of the Chantry, map on very well to God and the Church. Now there's weirdnesses because everything kind of gets attributed to the elven gods nowadays in like lore since Inquisition. But you know, can we forgive that? We can maybe forgive that. See, here's the No, I've got to keep the banana and the cheese wheel. Even if this is far more appropriate, I have to keep the banana and the cheese wheel. Yeah, look at that. That is just glorious. There's a knife sticking out of it. Anyway. Need to make her better armor, though. That's something I need to do.
Daniel!
Ooh.
Daniel! Can
Ooh,
you hear me?
that doesn't look good.
Cassandra.
Malachor.
It is you. You're alive.
Kidding. It's a
As are you.
Greedfall
I'm
reference.
so glad I found you.
No, they put a demon inside me. It's tearing me up.
What? You can't be possessed. That's impossible!
I'm not possessed. They fed me things. I can feel it growing.
Erica says this is why she hates you. Yeah. Also, she's a tsundere. She is very much the Bastila archetype if we're thinking in KOTOR terms. Very much the Bastila archetype, which also, incidentally, is the other reason, is honestly probably the only reason I would ever consider playing a male Inquisitor, because this is a very feminine archetypal plot structure this game has. But a male roguish Inquisitor romancing Cassandra is just a perfect annoying as hell story. Just perfectly annoying. It's great. But anyway, I'm a sucker for the crap. But yeah, otherwise it is, like I said, a very feminine, archetypal feminine story structure. But yeah, I don't know. I like Cassandra, even if she hates us. And the whole making fun of her for romance novels thing. There's that too. Don't forget that.
Can a demon be grown inside someone?
Savages! I will tear every last one of them apart!
No. The Lord Seeker.
Of course we'll find him. If he lives, we'll...
Lucius betrayed us, Cassandra. He sent us here, one by one. An important mission, he said. Lies. He was here with them all along. He's still working with them.
But we met Lord Seeker Lucius in Val Royeaux. He couldn't have been here.
That wasn't him. It was a demon. Masquerading.
What? How could that be?
The Lord Seeker allowed it. He let the demon take command while he...
came here.
Would he really work with these cultists?
I intend to find out.
Wait. Don't leave me like this, please.
You should have come with me. You didn't believe in the war any more than I did.
You know me. I wanted that promotion.
Go to the Maker's side, Daniel. You will be welcome. He was my apprentice. I have never known a finer young man. Now we find Lord Seeker Lucius.
Maybe I should have changed out the banana for such a dramatic scene. My bad. Anyway. That was really intense and really good. The banana was not fitting. Not fitting. Alright, let's go. Back outside. What's that? Ooh. Hello? What's that? Oh, they found us. There we go. Snuck up on us. Okay. Really, no one's gonna make an argument that anything anything Star Wars since the Lucasfilm, since the Disney purchase has been better than the Old Republic cinematics. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're really good, but nobody's going to defend Rogue One, Fallen Order, because I do think that I really do think that the cinematics are probably better than both. Mandalorian, even.
Lord Seeker Lucius.
Cassandra, with a woman I can only assume is the new Inquisitor.
And you're the man who betrayed his own order.
I presume you know we Seekers of Truth were once the original Inquisition. Oh yes.
A lot of people defend those things.
To restore order in a time of madness long ago, as you do now. And we became proud. We sought to remake the world, to make it better. But what did we create? The Chantry, the Circles of Magi. A war that will see no end.
And aiding Corypheus is supposed to help?
Corypheus is a monster with limited ambition.
And your ambition is so much greater.
We Seekers are abominations, Cassandra. We created a decaying world and fought to preserve it even as it crumbled. We had to be stopped. You don't believe me? See for yourself.
Certainly you don't mean abominations, technically.
Passed to me after the former Lord Seeker was slain. The war with the mages had already begun, but it was not too late for me to do the right thing.
Now, certainly you can't mean that technically. In the setting, abomination means specifically a mage possessed and transformed by a demon. I assume he's meaning that like colloquially or analogically. I don't know though.
And this was the right thing.
Lord Seeker, what you've done.
I know. What Corypheus did with the Templars does not matter. I have seen the future. I have created a new order
that made me chuckle.
The old.
You're right. But...
The world will end so we can start anew. A pure beginning. Join us, Cassandra. It is the Maker's will.
I'm so glad that that did not involve her drawing her banana mace. Phoenix said the cinematics, this is what made me chuckle in the middle of that. The cinematics in LEGO Star Wars are better than most post-Disney stuff look like. Yeah. Yeah, I like Erica. I'm not going to argue against that. I think you're pretty much right. Done. That was not hard. Then again, I am playing this on easy. I think low difficulty, relatively low difficulty.
He was insane. He had to be. The influence of Corypheus, perhaps. Was he trying to disable the Seekers?
If so, the plan worked perfectly.
He could not have destroyed all of us. I won't accept it. Let us return to Skyhold. I wish to see what's in this book of secrets.
But yeah, it's Andraste. I'm not going to take offerings. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, no, it's oh my god. They have they're not technically matriculations, but they're close. These little bits. Little holes. Wow. That's something. That's pretty cool. Oh wait. Is that just leaving? Oh yeah, that's just leave. Okay, yeah, that's just leave. Alright. head back. But yeah, I mean, listen, the Lego Star Wars cutscenes and cinematics storylines are actually like really well done. I almost, if I ever get around to getting a Switch, eventually, I kind of want the Skywalker Saga Lego Star Wars, because I want to see how they do the sequels. Because honestly, I thoroughly expect it to be better than the actual films. Thoroughly expect it to be better than the films. Because Lego Star Wars does a great job. Now, they haven't done a better job than the actual the original or prequel trilogy, but I can see them doing it better than I can see them improving the sequels. Phoenix says, thanks to Protestantism, Pope couldn't excommunicate Disney for making The Last Jedi. Okay, it's certainly, it's bad, therefore a violation of beauty, and then maybe we can argue blasphemous, but I don't know if it's technically formal heresy. I don't know if it's technically formal heresy. That's the downside there. I don't know about that. I'm on board with the sentiment, though, and I would like to look for a nice loophole to get that done.
Will you not consider it, Lady Cassandra? The clerics are still sequestered. If no one steps forward, they will debate until...
Yeah, what happened? I've disappeared, dude. You don't need to stop talking. Apparently I'm invisible. And you think I could make them agree?
I've had enough for one day, Mother Giselle.
Talk to her, your worship.
Roll a nat 20 in stealth check. I mean, it's Sable, so yes. In our Curse of Strahd game, isn't her modifier like plus 14? So, yeah, pretty much. If Sable, our Curse of Strahd version of Sable, or apparently this one, if either of them roll a nat 20 in stealth check, they're invisible. No one sees them. Game over, man.
What's going on now?
I assume you've heard that Leliana and I are both candidates to be the next Divine. Because of what happened at Halam Shiral, of course, the Empire favors you. Thus, everyone close to you. So now the Chantry bandies our names about without even asking us first.
How can you and Leliana be candidates? You're not even priests.
It's not without precedent. Amar III was sister to the Emperor, and Galatea a commoner. Leliana and I were, at least, part of the Chantry hierarchy. It would be accepted.
If they'll pick non-priests, why am I not a candidate?
Because they don't know what you are, and they're frightened of you.
Understandable.
A weight such as yours would break the Sunburst throne and tear the Chantry to pieces. I just don't know why they believe Leliana or I would be.
It's all nice and poetic, but what do you mean? I have no idea what that means. Yeah, I think we're going full bore behind Cassandra here. She's the moderate candidate. But excuse me, she's also kind of the traditionalist candidate. So you have the three candidates are Cassandra, Liliana, and Vivienne. Vivienne is the traditionalist candidate from a policy standpoint. She wants to maintain the Templars in the Circle, maintain their role and their positions, and maintain most about the Chantry hierarchy, but also establish a separate College of Magi that is controlled by mages. And she's a mage, which has not happened since maybe Andraste, but saying that is a little bit not allowed by the Chantry. But no mages as divine. That apparently isn't right. Liliana is a progressive. She's a reformed candidate. all about changing things up, allowing mages into the chantry, I think she even allows men into the chantry, into priestly positions, which, again, given this context, is nonsensical. Just as nonsensical as allowing women priests, honestly, in like real life women priests. And then you've got Cassandra, who is pretty much just for stability, which is kind of what is needed in a situation like this. So I think I I've convinced myself, because the only other option I was vaguely considering was Vivienne, partially just because I really like her character, and I feel like she gets along quite well with Sable, this version at least of Sable. So I don't know. Still though, I think it's Cassandra all the way.
I think you'd make an excellent divine.
Truly? I never look good in hats. Surely it was never meant to be like this. The Chantry, the Circle of Magi, the Templars. This cannot be what they intended when it all began. The Chantry should provide faith, hope. Instead, it cannot veer from its course, even in the face of certain death.
I'm surprised to hear you of all people say that.
Oh? Am I not the same woman who declared the Inquisition against the Chantry's wishes? In all my years as a Seeker, I did what I was told. My faith demanded it. But now my faith demands something else. That I see with better eyes.
Eric's the same cast about hats. Yeah, I mean, hats aren't really your thing, I guess, but it's also partially because you have a very tiny head. And I, by contrast, have a massive head. So we both have very specialized hat needs. Then again, when we were out hat shopping, I think some of those look pretty good on you. But, nothing but really just gotcha. Especially nothing too affordable. That's the other thing, too. Hats are usually more expensive than you think. I did recently get a new hat. It's very nice. It was relatively cheap, like straw cowboy hat type thing. Nicely made. Great for, like, outdoor type stuff.
If you're concerned, then make it better.
Did you know Varric is Andrastian? Oh, he blasphemes with every second breath, but deep down he believes. His heart is virtuous. But he would never step foot in a chantry. It should be the first place to which the virtuous turn. It needs to change. Perhaps I must be the one to change it.
Do it. Erica says they look stupid and you're stupid for trying to convince me to look stupid. I don't think you look stupid. I think a lot of them look good. Yes, let us help. And not flirt. Stop it. Bonk. Wait, wrong one. Nope, still wrong one. That's not it either. Where's my bonk? Ah! I'm gone. There it is. Bonk. Anyway.
I have influence, and I can use it to help the Chantry make up its mind.
I cannot ask you to do that.
You don't have to.
If you think that is the right thing to do, then thank you. I suppose
I'm glad she
should
accepts
not
the help.
be so concerned. The clerics speak my name for now, nothing more. For now, restoring order and stopping Corypheus remain our priority.
Right. Nice, though. All right, let's follow up with the Seeker stuff, because we didn't yet, apparently. I'm really hoping that this doesn't get me copyright
Has
struck.
passed from Lord Seeker to Lord Seeker, since the time of the Old Inquisition. And now it falls to me.
Oh, gone for like 40 minutes? Okay. I'll keep an eye on things. Thanks for letting me know.
You're all right. You look drained.
Do you know what the Right of Tranquility is? The last resort used on mages in the Circle, leaving them unable to cast, but depriving them of dreams and all emotion. It should only be used on those who cannot control their abilities, but that has not always been the case.
Yeah, Thoughtbot Patrol's on break. We haven't had any tonight. When was it? I don't remember if it was last Thursday or if it was just this past Monday. I think it was this past Monday. In a relatively short stream, we had like 5 or 6 invade that we had to kill. Kill them dead. Erica's on top of it though, so good on you. Now I gotta keep an eye out.
Deprived of all emotion? That sounds...
I always thought it a necessary evil. What finally began the Mage Rebellion was the discovery the Right of Tranquility could be reversed. The Lord Seeker at the time covered it up, harshly. There were deaths.
Ooh.
It was dangerous knowledge, the shock of its discovery in addition to what happened in Kirkwall. But it appears we've always known how to reverse the right, from the beginning.
So the rebellion could have been prevented?
Perhaps, but it was a long time coming, for many reasons. We created the Right of Tranquility. To become a Seeker, I spent months in a vigil, emptying myself of all emotion. I was made tranquil, and didn't even know. Then the vigil summoned a spirit of faith to touch my mind. That broke tranquility, and gave me my abilities. The Seekers did not share that secret. Not with me, not with the Chantry, not even with... There's more. Lucius was not wrong about the Order. I thought to rebuild the Seekers once victory was ours. Now I'm not certain it deserves to be rebuilt.
No.
If you did rebuild the Seekers, how would you do it?
I can't be the only one remaining. We will always spread to the winds, and some may still be out there. I would find them one by one. We would all read this book, no more secrets. Then together we would establish a new charter. The Maker's work in truth.
Every Inquisition needs to be called against thoughts. Then again, also, apparently, we, as we saw earlier, we can also weaponize them, apparently, which is maybe not so great a thing, but...
You said there was more in the book.
At some point, power becomes its own master. We cast aside ideas in favor of expedience, and tell ourselves it was all necessary for the people. Will that happen to us, Inquisitor? Will we repeat history?
Yeah, so going after... Seeking power is always dangerous. And this is the lesson of the Lord of the Rings, really. This is the lesson of the ring, the one ring, the ring of power. That seeking power without a very clear end in mind, without something very specific and particular to use it for, seeking power with the idea of holding it in reserve, having power that you can use it, but not having an idea of exactly what you'll use it for, having it just in case, can lead to a shift in seeing power not as a means, but as an end, something that is worth pursuing on its own. And this is what leads to tyranny, both political tyranny and tyranny of the soul, of the self, submitting oneself to this sort of pursuit of extrinsic goods as intrinsic ends, particularly pursuing power for its own sake. We also see this in the pursuit of money for its own sake. Money is, functionally speaking, it's power. It's symbolically, money is power. It's potential. Not potential, it's potency. It's the ability to acquire. Just like power is the ability to do. So seeking money for its own sake usually results as a consequence of seeking money for security. Just in case. rather than seeking it for something in particular. The same sort of thing. Spanish Inquisition was the OG thought patrol. I think it goes back further than that. I think we can point to earliest I can probably think of for OG thought patrol would be Emperor Claudius Caesar, 1st century AD, in the big moral reform laws in our early Roman Empire. Basically, he did a huge crackdown on stuff like temple prostitution that was destroying the Roman family, basically. Pretty based. I mean, he didn't go that far with it compared to absurd levels of Roman debauchery that existed prior and still existed even after his reforms. But man, under such a situation, progress is progress. You have to admire it at least. But yeah. So yeah, I think it goes back further than the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition were pros, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think we can trace it back further. Sable's naive, though. She doesn't think that she can be swayed by the pursuit of power, which is probably why she can be persuaded by the pursuit of power. A clever take, Phoenix says, power for power's sake leads to tyranny. I think power for power's sake is tyranny. That's what tyranny means. That's and I'm getting this. This isn't mine. I don't take credit for these ideas. Like most of my ideas, I don't take credit for. I am the midget standing on the shoulders of giants who are standing on the shoulders of greater giants. Such is the fate of the traditionalist. This is out of Plato. I have a couple of lectures on this subject in particular. If you're interested. One is how the soul degrades into tyranny, into the tyrannical individual, and also how the society can degrade into tyranny. Which again, both of those are very relevant. And then also what the character of the tyrant is like. What is the tyrant's soul like? And then another video which is again woefully relevant today, about what is the nature of tyranny and how that impacts social relationships. The social relationship of the tyrant with others. And this is especially relevant because, we're surrounded by petty tyrants. Whether that's on the mass scale of government officials or whether that's on the private little scale of Karens. They're all tyrannical type of people. To varying degrees. And then, base Claudius patrolling the thoughts. Yeah. Now again, not perfect. That said, a lot of his contemporaries thought he was weird because he strongly preferred women to men in a sexual context. Not to say he was particularly monogamous, despite various legal reforms, but regardless. Anyway, it's something. Again, it's something. You can't ask a lot of the pagan Roman Empire in terms of moral character. Anyway, the other lecture, the more going far afield from just reading the Republic and talking about it, where I examined the character of the tyrant as according to Plato, using contemporary examples. And this was when I was looking at the case surrounding now Saint Alfie Evans. The young boy, the toddler who was basically put to death by the English healthcare system, despite a bunch of mediating considerations where he quite possibly could have been saved, but a decision had been made by medical boards and the kinds of tyrants who have been ruining the world for 2 years, and then again further back. Oh yeah, you've seen the Plato talking about power one. Okay, cool. That one, the one about Alfie Evans. Yeah, that exactly. And exactly, it's about looking at the character of someone who has for so long pursued power for its own sake that abandoning that power or turning away from one's own decisions or changing one's mind, particularly publicly, becomes a kind of death to oneself. it's why we have the symbolism of the One Ring in the Lord of the Rings. And by the way, I've just started rereading Fellowship of the Ring like a couple weeks ago, and so I'm really into I'm into that headspace. So I'm gonna be I make a ton of metaphors and comparisons to it, of course, but it's why we have this idea. It's why Tolkien had this idea that if you destroy Sauron's ring, you destroy Sauron. Because he put so much of himself into this expression of power. His whole being was for the sake of power, tyranny, control over others. And so when he loses the ring, not only is his power diminished, his being is diminished. And then when the ring is destroyed or utterly claimed by another, if you take Gandalf's supposition seriously, that if he had taken the ring and defeated Sauron with it, then Sauron would be destroyed. In either case, it's because he's committed himself so thoroughly to power that losing it, or diminishing it even, destroys someone. It's like death. It's like a kind of death. So this is why, again, hubristic and prideful people who have invested themselves in power, any risk of losing that power is like dying. So this is why, this is why, for example, Justin Trudeau, the petty tyrant that he is, could not possibly be seen as acquiescing to the Freedom Convoy, for example. Couldn't do it. Because that would be a relinquishing of power. Even though the power was being ripped from his hands, at that very moment, he couldn't relinquish it. He could not let go. And so I think he lost that fight, even if he brutalized a lot of people and did terrible things to a lot of people. But still, I think that in the long term, I think that was a victory for free people, let's say.
No, we're nothing like the Seekers.
I wonder how much we resemble what they used to be.
Rebuild the Seekers. Make them better than they were.
Thank you. I could not have done this on my own.
All right. Sweet. All right. Let's see if there's any. Let's see if there's any war table missions. Probably are. And then we will start new little area to move towards that Sarnia, that quarry of Sarnia, or who is it? Cullen's Quest, I think it is. I think the Red Lyrium mine. We're tracking down Samson. This is a major, like it's a story quest, but it's a side story quest, I guess. Call it. I don't know. It's weird. Anything new? Nothing new. Anything new? Nothing new. We have to go to Empuis-de-Lyon. Hills of Empuis-de-Lyon are in peril. Maidservant recently returned from visiting an uncle in Sarnia, spoke of gruff, helmeted men about the village's quarry, and the appearance of strange red crystals in the field close by. I suspected red lyrium and sent men to investigate, but the bridges leading to the area have all been destroyed. The Red Templar's handiwork, I wager. We do not act quickly. All of the highlands may be lost. I wish I bore fairer tidings, my dear. My warmest regards to your family. I pray for the quelling of the winter winds of chaos. We may meet again in springtime. Your truest friend and ally, Edouard de Hardines? Eddie. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. We broke through to Sarnia. Lead Scout Harding is in the vanguard sent to establish an Inquisition camp. Her early reports indicate that the red lyrium is spreading. Yeah, let's go. Gotta bring Varric. Gotta bring Vivienne. Gotta bring Blackwall. Yeah, that'll do. This is visually one of my favorite areas. With it's very snowy, and the contrast of the red lyrium popping out of the white snow is it's disturbing yet beautiful. It's the same like red and white aesthetic that they took for Crate in The Last Jedi. And say what you will about Battle of Crate and how silly and derivative it was, and how anime Luke Skywalker was, and all that. Everything you can say about it. And how Mary Sue Ray was, yada 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 yada. Everything wrong, we get it, fine. The aesthetics.
Inquisitor. Scout Harding.
Nice.
We're on the outskirts of Sarnia. This is what's left of the town. The lucky ones got out before the river froze over. The rest, penned in by Fade Rifts and Red Templars. We're the first friendly face they've seen in a long, long while.
How did an entire river freeze so quickly?
It got really cold, really quickly. Sarnia relies on its river for everything. Trade, food. They weren't expecting this.
I should look in on the townsfolk, see what they can tell me.
I'm sure they'll appreciate it. The Red Templars have been mounting frequent attacks. They want Emprise de Lyon. Bad. Let's get out there and take it back from them.
All right. Okay. Howdy, friends. Acquisitions?
Dispatch for you. What is it?
Cuxton Trudeau, you're closing the borders, you're disrupting people's lives, and you're stopping people from going to their jobs. Also, Cuxton, oh no, the coof, lock down everything. Yeah, stop people from getting to their jobs, close the borders, all of these wonderful things that are definitely going to help people instead of ruining millions of lives. Without a doubt, one of the most evil human beings on the planet.
What happened here?
I mean, look. I'm just saying. In a completely legal context, public execution should be on the table. Again, all above board. No, not advocating any kind of, specific violence or anything. I'm just saying. Principle of double effect may justify such actions, given that there may be no other successful and expedient way of preventing further harm to innocent people. Again, just going off of relatively obvious consequences of ethical theory.
Demons with trusted faces. They'll find the small blue house. They'll find the ring. Stupid girl, how could you?
A world? Yeah, and I have a hankering for that Dalish cheese you started last year. What happened to it? It's not really Dalish, is it? It's the last Dalish hunters that came through. Acted like it'd grown a tree out of my head. Whatever it is, let me know where you got it. I'd love another taste. Huh. Okay, weird, but fine. But found some weird, cool cheese. I don't know if there's anything I can do to help with that.
Come, lad. I have dried beans and radishes.
Lean's records. Sarnia's granite quarry has been in financial trouble. Interesting. Had to close the quarry.
Thank you, madame.
fancy. Ow. My poor legs. Alright, let's see. Anything else in here that we gotta check out in town? Yeah, we were just in here. In what I guess counts as town, which is really not much. Yep, there's some red lyrium growing. See what I mean? This is just, like, hauntingly gorgeous. Let's see. Speak with the townspeople. I thought I did that. Michel.
Michel de Chauvin at your service, your worship. I saw the Inquisition's banners from afar. Never expected to see the Herald of Andraste herself.
I love that sword.
So Michel, of course. I didn't recognize you, dressed as you are.
Lady Vivienne?
Michel de Chauvin? I know your story. You were disgraced and banished from court for treachery.
There's much more than that.
Oh.
But it ends the same way. What does it matter? Despite all, I have a strong arm, a stout heart, and I still serve Ole.
Are you here to guard the people?
As much as I can, although this was not my original intention. I hunt a demon. This one calls itself Imshale, and has settled in Suladin Keep, up in the hills.
Okay.
Imshale is free because I made a mistake. I will see him destroyed.
Get that sword away from my belt. I don't like this.
Now that the Inquisition
Love the sword,
is here, perhaps the Red Templars who guard the keep can be routed. All I need is one chance.
I need to know more about Imshale.
A desire demon, more cunning than anything I have encountered. And I have played the game. Imshale has roamed the land for some time. If anything, he will have grown in power. Why he is here in Emprise de Lyon, however, is anyone's guess. Perhaps he has gained the cooperation of the Red Templars, or vice versa.
Man, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, but I'll go ahead and repeat it anyway, because it's true. It said, imagine having so little faith in vaccines that you think your double-vaxxed population will instantly die if they're allowed to go back to their normal lives. Yeah. I mean, okay. I have to give, and again, I'm at least, let's say, skeptical. Some people would say skeptical. I would say realistic about vaccine efficacy with respect to COVID and all that stuff. Okay, fair enough. We all know very clearly that the original line sold that if you take the vaccine, you can't get it and you can't spread it. We all know that turned out to be false, and it was probably a lie from the start. Either that or they just wildly oversold it. Whichever. Either way, it doesn't matter. It was still false. However, I do, and from what I understand, from how the vaccine has worked and how it's interacted with the virus, how it's interacted with the population and that sort of thing, we do have to give, I think, I'm not an expert on this, so I'm speculating, and this is based on what I've looked into the matter. A lot of this is from Dr. Robert Malone and some of his talks with Rogan and with Tim Pool and some of his own stuff put forward about was it with Tim Pool? Somebody else, where he's talked about the functionality of vaccines. That it seems to me like, if nothing else, the widespread vaccination using this mRNA vaccine, which targets the spike proteins, seems to have forced a mutation of the virus towards Omicron, which basically, as I understand it, the main difference between Delta and Omicron is that Omicron, the viral not cells, viral bits, whatever they're called, don't have the same spike proteins. that the vaccine latches onto and will eventually will damage the virus so that it won't be effective. And so that also means, because the virus now can't target Omicron, or almost can't target Omicron, what that means is that Omicron is also, because of this difference, more virulent and much less deadly. Much less deadly. Like an order of magnitude kind of less deadly than Delta. Again, my numbers could be off. Not an immunologist or whatever. Not a biologist. Whatever. But it does seem to me that the vaccination did play a role in forcing this mutation and forcing this particular kind of a mutation. And now we have this really cool variant, Omicron, that everybody's going to catch because it's unbelievably contagious. And almost no one is actually going to die from. Most people are barely even going to get sick from it. I got it. I had a fever for an afternoon. I had like a 99 fever. Who cares? I was fine. I was a little achy. I don't know. But like the mildest flu I'd ever gotten, basically. It was no big deal. And yeah, everyone's going to get it. Most people are barely going to get sick. Some people aren't going to get sick at all. Almost nobody's going to die. Some have, and that's terrible and that's tragic, but I think the numbers are lower than the common cold, so what are you going to do? And it's probably providing immunity to other strains, to a large degree. It's God's vaccine. It's honestly, it really impresses me that this shift, and it seems like a good thing. And it seems to me at least to have been at least partially caused by vaccination. So we have to at least, I think, give that credit. Now, was it worth it? Given what we're starting to find out about vaccine side effects, and again, all the published documents from Pfizer, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. That's up to the people who've gotten the vaccine to decide. And for legal reasons, I may or may not have. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Again, it's not for me to decide whether it was worth it for other individual people. So, who am I to say? But it didn't cause herd immunity by any stretch of the imagination. But I think it did contribute to sort of forced mutation of the virus. At least that's what it seems like to me from looking at the data we have available. Like, again, I'm not an immunologist or anything like that, but I do know how to look at data. I know how to analyze statistical data and things like that. I am a researcher, academically speaking, so, I know how to examine cause and effect. As a philosopher, I'm at least good at that. So, So I think we can infer some causality there. At least probabilistically, let's say.
What's in Saladin Keep?
Red Templars, so far as I can tell. Saladin is an elven fortress, left to crumble. The locals always avoided it, believing it the haunt of ancient elven spirits.
Okay. That explains why not storm the keep, so moving on.
You could serve the Inquisition. We have use for strong arms and stout hearts.
No, not until Imshale is defeated.
Okay, so once we deal with that, then. Cool. Phoenix says, effectively what we've done is force the virus to mutate to a weaker version. Eventually it'll burn out. A few of my friends caught COVID recently, and the young ones are okay. Yeah, I like to say, and this is entirely truthful, that I have gotten 2 strains of COVID now. I got Alpha, or whatever you want to call it, the original one, the OG COVID, back in fall 2020, and I had literally no symptoms, none. And I got base God vaccine. Heck yeah. And I got what I'm almost certain was Omicron.
How do you like being described as grizzled or masculine?
What? Right before the semester started, give or take? Earlier. a little bit ago, not too long
Just
ago.
being polite. Going with Grizzled then?
And like I said, I had a 99-degree fever for like an afternoon, and I was a little achy and a little tired. Both instances of COVID that I had gotten were the two least bad coronaviruses I have gotten since the pandemic started, because I also got, what was it, I think 2 or 3 common colds, both of which were worse. Who do I talk to here? Oh, Mistress Pauline.
Ah, the Inquisition. That was generous of you.
What was?
I do what I can. I am partly to blame for all this. The Red Templars are here because, fool that I am, I sold them my family's quarry. They've taken every worker. We haven't seen them in weeks. And it's not enough. They keep coming, taking more people. And there's nothing I can do to stop them.
Yeah, because it's a bit like the idea of a nippling program for pest control. Instead of killing the threat off, you just force it to become weaker until it's no threat. Yeah, which, I mean, look. That is what everyone level-headed who was looking at COVID from the beginning, from like February 2020, that's what everyone was saying was going to happen anyway. That basically everyone's going to get it, then it's going to be the common cold. And would you look at that, everyone's gotten it, and now it's the common cold. Everyone knew this was going to happen. All we've done was delay the process for 2 years while basically destroying the world and giving it an incredible amount of power to some of the worst people in the world. That's it. That's all we've accomplished. And again, this is borne out by the data. There is no correlation whatsoever, and this is study after study confirms this, there's no correlation whatsoever between COVID mitigation measures and any at all measurement of the spread or dangerousness or deadliness of the virus. None. Study after study bears this out, both specifically looking at specific mitigation measures. The only things that have done anything have been vaccination, has helped with the death rates, and shutting down... What was it? Certain, not even just non-essential businesses or whatever qualified non-essential, but a very specific range of what qualified as non-essential. I think it was like bars and clubs, for some reason, had a small positive correlation. But everything else either did nothing or was counterproductive. Literally everything else. Mask requirements, travel restrictions, business shutdowns, vaccine mandates. Mandates even had no correlation. The only thing that correlated was vaccination rates, which don't correlate to mandates, by the way. Like, for example, Florida has about the same vaccination rate as New York. Mostly because Florida's a bunch of old people. And old people are going to get the vaccine because it's probably going to benefit them. So of course it will. Anyway, it's there's absolutely no evidence that anything that they've done to us over the last 2 years has helped anyone whatsoever, except themselves. And it's massed power. Fabian tactics for diseases? Yeah, pretty much. It's all disturbingly predictable. Not predictable. I don't know if I predicted any of this. I certainly didn't predict that the next big crisis was going to be World War III, but okay. Honestly, okay, so I will say, and there's probably some record of me saying this. So when in late 2019, when the first attempt to impeach Donald Trump failed, I was saying that there needed to be another crisis to discredit and remove Trump from power. So they were going to come up with something. I obviously didn't see this coming. I obviously did not see a worldwide pandemic with a wild overreaction that would last 2 years. Didn't see that coming. Not for a moment. My prediction was one of two things. One, assassination attempt, which I thought was unlikely, but maybe. I wouldn't put it past anyone, really. I mean, the Clintons have done it before, so whatever. It's not off the table. The other possibility was a massive escalation of war somewhere in Eastern Europe or the Middle East, to the point of basically World War III. And this would have been my thought at the time was some of Trump's neocon type advisors would push him into it, and it would lead to a collapse of approval and massive profits for the proper connected people. Yeah, and like Erica's money was on the unalivening of Trump, which again didn't want to rule it out. The massive plague with an even more massive overreaction, didn't see that coming. Did not see that coming. Came out of nowhere. I mean, it came out of a lab in Wuhan, but it was unpredictable. Phoenix said, bars and clubs have people really close together, so that makes sense. Didn't make sense was closing gyms. Yeah, gyms doesn't make any sense at all. Gyms had a negative core. Closing gyms, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, had a negative... Closing gyms, area by area, region by region, had a negative correlation to COVID survival rate. I wonder why. Could it possibly be that if you're in good shape, you're far less susceptible to COVID? No way. Also, there is absolutely zero correlation between mask mandates, whether that's broad scale or mask mandates in specific environments. And they've done studies about airplanes. They've done studies about restaurants, restaurants in close concentrated groups of people. And they've done, most notably for my own research purposes, a specific study out of Catalonia, studying the effect of mask mandates for COVID transmission rates, hospitalization rates, and death rates in classrooms. And they have found precisely zero correlation. So they're causing massive detriments to young children, especially, and their ability to develop proper social relationships. And also, my ability to teach. I'm very peeved about that, in case it's not clear. In case it hasn't been clear for 2 years now. I'm very peeved about my ability to teach being intentionally hampered by the people who are hiring me and paying me to teach. Okay. Sorry, that part bothers me. Anyway, Erica says gyms are weirdly clean also. Anytime I've been to a gym pre-pandemic, everyone's always sanitizing all the equipment before and after they use anything. Yeah, it's a little odd. I mean, people who frequent gyms are health conscious, so stands to reason they would be relatively cleanly as well. So I guess maybe that makes sense. Maybe that's why.
What do you mean the Red Templars take workers?
People just disappear. First those who worked the quarry, then they took people from their homes. I don't know why. I just prayed they'd leave me and my family alone.
How could you have sold land to the Red Templars?
I didn't know. I swear by Andras's Spire, they look like knights, chevaliers. Such pretty speeches. They said they would reopen the quarry, bring employment and trade back to Sanya. We'd been struggling since the war began. How could I refuse? It was good for a time. People went to work, they were paid. Then they stopped coming home. After that, the Red Templars stopped pretending.
That's the thing. It's when there is grave evil being inflicted upon people, especially indiscriminately, keeping your head down and hoping that it doesn't happen to you next is a guarantee that it will eventually happen to you. Again, this is the thing that we've probably noticed in the last couple of years, right? Even think nothing nearly this bad, obviously, but think in terms of like tech censorship. Like, no one really cared back in... I've got another video about this, about Patreon. Back when I was whining about Patreon being unethical bastards, or amoral bastards, I guess, being basically censorious like crazy, that was one of the first dominoes of the whole social media censorship thing. And everyone was like, well, it's just Sargon of Akkad. It's just Nick Fuentes. It's just a bunch of these weird outlier people who, say the N-word on streams and stuff like that. It's not me. I'm not a racist. I'm not, take your pick, whatever. Then it was Alex Jones, and everyone's like, no, Alex Jones is a crazy conspiracy theorist. It won't be me. And then it was the sitting president of the United States. And I was like, well, I'm not the sitting president of the United States. I'm not Donald Trump. I'm not that orange man. It won't be me. And now suddenly it's everyone. Everyone's getting censored. Oh yeah, Lauren Southern. Oh yeah, that's right. She was one of the first ones to get booted from Patreon, wasn't she? They accused her of terrorism. She was making a documentary, and they accused her of terrorism. Same with there was a guy. His last name's I think Rist or Riss. He's currently working on a documentary on January 6th, and it looks to be great because he happened to get in early on the whole movement, on the Stop the Steal movement, and so he was just kind of documenting everything because he was just interviewing people because he was like, man, this is cool. This is an interesting movement. He's a documentary filmmaker, so he was just interviewing people from like November onward. He interviewed the Q Shaman guy like 3 times before January 6th, and then once on January 7th before he was like right before it turned out that he was arrested. Like, ooh, and it's going to be a great documentary, but he has been censored like crazy everywhere because again, he's making a documentary and being accused of terrorism. It's super common. It's disturbingly common that documentarians and historians are having the, first of all, tech censorship, but even beyond that, having the tools of the counterterrorism state that we developed since 9/11 really, have those tools be directed against what are effectively academics. It's very, very troubling. This is going to be a heck of an era to look back on. If the study of history survives. Like I talked to historians, and a lot of us thought that with the advent of the digital age, in like the 90s and noughties, we all thought that the study of history would fundamentally change forever. That we would now have active current records of everything at all times. And we do. It's great because we have these active current records of everything at all times. And so we wouldn't have to do this whole like sifting through weird perspectives and trying desperately to reconstruct ancient documents. Now we would have everything because everything was digitally preserved. But now we have historical documents and records being actively destroyed and censored. It's highly disturbing. And our hope for a sort of post-history world is gone. Ow. First they came for Alex Jones. I did not speak out because I was mentally healthy. Then they came for me, and there was no one to tell about it. Yeah. I mean, he's far from mentally healthy.
I read some of your book.
But
Hard in Hightown, was it? riveting stuff.
And you only read some.
I've only read some aloud into the microphone.
Found it in a latrine in a village near Cherno. It was missing some pages.
Oh no, that's terrible. These are cute. I want to kill them. Need some pelts. He says, I'm going to look back on all this and tell my children it's the fault of the Chinese Communist Party. Yes, but not exclusively. I think there's more to it than that. I mean, they're involved, sure, but I think there's certainly more to it than that. I mean, like World Economic Forum types, and they're let's say the various connected but not necessarily conspiratorial and interdependent baddies, let's just say, in all of the world's governments. It's not just the communists. It's the people like that just about everywhere. Oh, earlier I missed one. Even the most homoerotic gyms still have social distance between each of the machines. When people do aerobics, they don't tend to get all that close to others. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Weirdly, but yeah, you're right. I'm not really a gym guy. Whenever I exercise, even when I exercise, I'm mostly on my own, out doing things. And it comes from old habits, because most of my most of my I guess call it workout history, whenever I did anything fitness related, it was when I did kung fu when I was younger. And all the exercising that I did had a very specific training focus, whether it was for that or even just like marching band. All of it had a very specific training focus. It wasn't focused on just like working out muscle groups or working out for fitness for its own sake. It was in order to train specific skills and abilities and things like that. So it was a different approach. Who's he hunting? Interesting. Another one. Okay, there we go. That's good. That's good. These little bastards hate these things. Alright, come on. There we go. Oh my god. Hey, Kevin. Yeah, you missed a lot of good conversation. That was good. It's been fun. I've been ranting about a lot of vaguely political stuff, I'm sure, for the most part. Also, some things about Star Wars here and there. I'm also still open to persuasion with respect to what game to play next on Mondays. Whether that's going to be... Honestly, it looks like it's going to come down to either KOTOR, probably 1 and 2, or Kingdom Come, Deliverance. So again, that's kind of the finalists. I think sadly, I feel like I've kind of ruled out Mass Effect Andromeda, sadly. Yeah, as much as I really like Andromeda, as of the beginning of this stream, it was sitting at 1 vote across all platforms and all places where I'd posted the poll, so... Sorry, Bo. You wind up watching this. It doesn't look like it. I'll have to apologize to him in the post, too. Yeah, Erica says it's going to end up KOTOR 1 and 2 on Mondays, and then Kingdom Come on Thursdays when this is over. Probably. KOTOR 1 and 2 aren't that long. They're much shorter. Like, I just played KOTOR 2 off the stream at one point, like, I don't know, a few months ago. Even with the weird mod that took forever on the stupid droid planet, the whole game was probably like less than 30 hours. Now, to be fair, a lot of the time is going to get taken up by us talking. Because of course it is. But, at the same time, even though it's going to take us a lot of talking to get through both of them, especially just because of how philosophical a lot of the game is and how much we're probably going to wind up talking about Star Wars more generally, it's not a super long game. Neither of them are very long. So, who knows? We might actually finish KOTOR 1 and 2 before we finish Inquisition. Because, keep in mind, we are only about a third of the way through this game at 17 streams. It might even be less than a third of the way through. So, yeah. This game is ridiculously long, especially with side content. This game is absurdly long. It's a solid... Depending on how much side content you do, it's a solid 60 to 90 hours. If you only did nothing but the main quest and you somehow made it through, like on easy mode, and you under-leveled and all of that, you might be able to finish in 30 or 40 hours. But that's the least I could see. Meanwhile, that's about as long as KOTOR 1, if you do everything. Yeah, Kevin says I'm good with both options, actually. Love Kingdom Come Deliverance, but I've never played KOTOR, so it would be fun. Oh, if you've never played KOTOR, I kind of feel like maybe I have to. I will say that the story of the game is better than the gameplay. Because the gameplay is, I'm going to be honest, kind of outdated. So, watching a playthrough of it can get you some of the best parts. So... Yeah, that might be worth doing. Yeah, I don't know. It is, like I said, a really good pair of games. That, honestly, if I include Star Wars The Old Republic, the MMO, as a kind of substitute KOTOR 3, it's really good. It's even a really good trilogy, if you want to think of it that way. The trouble with including SOTOR as something equivalent to KOTOR 3 is, first of all, it is 8 different single-player campaigns rolled into one game. Each of which, especially if you include all of the expansions, is way longer than either KOTOR game. Yeah, it's way longer. That's the other thing too, is I would almost like to play one of the class storylines of the Old Republic on the stream, but I do not trust my internet connection to be able to play an MMO and stream it. I just don't see that working. I really just don't see that working out, sadly. Also, there's the weird unpredictability of streaming an MMO because, you know, it's an MMO and MMO things can happen. Not that there isn't local. I don't think there's local voice chat in the game, so I don't have to worry about, you know, a 12-year-old just violently screaming the N-word on my stream. So at least there's that. Not that 12-year-olds do that anymore, sadly. Well, I'm honestly a little disappointed. Kids these days don't even yell the N-word at each other. I come from a simpler time. Kids these days would never survive a Call of Duty lobby. Yeah, if we got fiber somehow, I could do it. Then I could do it. But that would mean, like, convincing a company to actually run fiber to our neighborhood out in the middle of nowhere, which is, oh! Also, Erica would play along with me, and not that she would want to, but hey, neato. It could be fun. It'd be very fun. But no. Anyway, I don't know. Could be neat.
Is it true that Kirkwall's Knight Commander became a statue?
Absolutely true. She's still there, bringing an extra dose of horror to gallows tourists.
No one's moved it. I mean, her.
And make it impossible for children to play Who's Brave Enough to Poke Meredith.
They don't actually do that, do they?
No. No one's brave enough to poke Meredith.
I mean, it's Red Lyrium. Definitely no one should poke Meredith. Take back the lion. Red Templars. Mangrove. Honestly, we've cleared out an area, and we probably just need to go back to Skyhold for the moment. Because we're not going to finish anything significant in 3 minutes. 2 minutes. So let's head back to Skyhold for now. While it loads, Eric says, my next door app says literally everywhere except us has Spectrum and Stolen Fiber. I mean, hey, post on your next door app and get a bunch of people to bother Spectrum. I don't know. They do it. They install fiber. I'd be very happy about that. Either that or something Elon Musk something satellites.
Need wheels for the training
I don't know.
guys. Moving targets.
Might be neat. Might be better.
Inquisitor?
Probably not better. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm no expert on such matters. But yeah, that is disappointing to hear that a lot of places are getting fiber, but our neighborhood's not. Always, it's the downside of living out in the middle of nowhere. It has its huge benefits, but that's definitely a downside. Anyway, we're almost out of time. I did want to show something off though. I now feel relatively comfortable talking about this a little bit. I got a new pipe recently. It's an absurdly massive, like 18-inch church warden. Unbelievably cheap. And by cheap, I mean it in both ways. Inexpensive and also kind of cheap construction. It was like $17, I think, something like that. Very nice, carved patterns on the bowl and all that. Hardwood briar pipe. Some kind of I don't know what the term would be. Some kind of resin stem. Plastic mouthpiece. The issues so far the only issues that so far I've had with it is that the mouthpiece is very delicate. That this snapped and I had to fix it. And the finish on the bowl might be puckering slightly. So it's like I said, cheap construction. But why would I ever complain for a 17 bucks ish? What was it? 16, 17, something like that. For this, I did. You're right. I had to fix it. I did have to glue the thing, the mouthpiece, because this snapped. Again, if you're otherwise, it smokes really nicely, and it is actually somehow cleanable and all that. So if you like church wardens and you want to spend a little bit to try one out, and you don't mind it at some point possibly falling apart and having to do some repairs on the thing, I'll put a link to it somewhere. Description, Discord, something. Anyway, I like it. I still like the thing. Great, especially just because with an obscenely long church warden like this, you can do this little number where you just have it there and you rest it on your table. That kind of thing. Very nice. Anyway, I've been using this baby while I've been reading the Fellowship of the Ring, because of course I have. So anyway, I like it very much, despite it being quite cheaply constructed. Oh, Kevin says I have one almost exactly like that. Awesome, cool, very cool. But yeah, it's really nice for it being so cheap. It was much better than I expected it to be. I expected it to like barely smoke. I expected it to be like probably some kind of a neat problem with it. The only problem is that it's fragile, basically. Which, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to be traveling much with it. So. Anyway, that is all the time I have for tonight. So I will hopefully see you guys on Monday for... I'm leaning very strongly towards KOTOR. On that note, if I am going to be doing KOTOR, and if you guys have any recommendations, if anybody has recommendations for mods to install to update the game just a bit, or anything like that, feel free to reach out and let me know. Let me know what you think, whether that's in the Discord, which, if you're not in there, join the link below, or just on the Facebook page or my own Facebook page or whatever. Let me know if you have any ideas as far as things that make the game a better game, that sort of thing. Otherwise, that looks like the next thing we're going to play. Like I said, I'm leaning towards it. I'm still considering Kingdom Come Deliverance. Unfortunately, it looks like Mass Effect Andromeda is off the table for now. I definitely need to get back to it on the stream sometime before Mass Effect Will Return comes out. Which, I mean, realistically is probably going to be in like 2032, so I think we're okay. But, still. By the time it comes out, Saoirse will be old enough to have played the trilogy. God, I hope not. Anyway. Game release schedules are just awful these days. Anyway, all right. Like I said, I'm already over time. I've been yammering on about silly stuff anyway. So, thank you all for joining me, Kevin. Good to see you, even if you only managed to join in the last few minutes. Good to see you, regardless. Hope you had a good time with the stuff you had going on, and hopefully, like I said, I will see you guys on Monday for probably looks like KOTOR, though Kingdom Come Deliverance is still on the table because I'm indecisive. Otherwise, I'll see you guys back here next Thursday for, honestly, probably more side quests. Because, like I said, this game is full of side quests. It's almost ridiculous how many side quests there are. We're probably going to do the Sarnia stuff, the stuff that we were just doing now, for at least a good portion of next week. And then probably the following week, we'll do the next actual main story quest. But who knows? No promises. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I had a great time talking to you guys. I had a great time playing the game, and I hope to have a great time next time. So, I will see you then. Good night, everybody.